Two friends, different worlds, aligned anyway.
Hey everyone, welcome to Aligned Anyway. I'm your co-host Josh.
And I am your co-host, Tiffany. Welcome back, guys.
Welcome back. And today on episode 4, we are going to be unpacking the topic of boundaries or avoidance. But before we get into the depth of that discussion, Tiffany, why don't you kick us off with any updates you have for the people?
Sure. I always got a story to tell.
We love stories here at Aligned Anyway.
I know. And it's not, my stories are just like little micro, mini, everyday things that happen in my life. And then for some reason in my head, and you know this from our past weekend trip, how I was like, guys, this could be a movie. This is a movie. Did you know this would happen in a movie? Because in my head, legit, when I'm coming out of my like depression fog, I legit hear like, music scores in my head for different things that are happening in my life.
Yeah.
Like if it's a good, beautiful, sunny day and I'm actually noticing the cherry blossoms that are blooming right down the street in my neighborhood, I hear like beautiful music, like the sound of music or something. And there's waterfalls and fountains or whatever. So, I like that I can kind of turn the mundane into something special. And so today, I'm usually off during the week when I work a Saturday. As you know, you have
Sure.
the same schedule. So with my day off today, I like pre-planned, getting my teeth filled because I had 2 fillings that fell out and it's been like this for a year, just honestly putting it off. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't. I didn't feel like my teeth were important enough for me to spend the money on it. I wanted it to go other places. And, this economy that we're in right now, like shit's expensive. Everything's expensive. And I was like, nope, we're not going to put this toward my teeth. But then I got my fillings today. And I'm telling you, I ate dinner and I wasn't in a bad mood. My mouth didn't hurt. It was easy to eat. I didn't have to get up and go floss. And I was just like, it's crazy how that something like that affects your mood, right? It can make you not want to go to dinner because it's not enjoyable for you. It
Yeah.
can make you not want to smile depending on, what your smile looks like and things like that. So just kind of talk about before how important it is to invest in yourself and not just like in the inches and the makeup and the clothes, but like in your health. Are you getting your annual physicals? Do you know what's going on with you? And it's just a beautiful thing when we kind of realize like something so small, how that did change my mood. And I started thinking like, wow, some decisions that I made or choices to not go places might have been because my teeth were sore.
Yeah.
And I've taken that out of the equation. And I think about the things that we need to do to kind of pull us out of that depression. We're very honest on this podcast. I, have been honest with people that I am bipolar. And so I have to work a little bit harder to get my gray cloud to dissipate. So I purposely will pre-plan or pre-schedule self-care things that now I'm held accountable to taking care of myself. So this dentist appointment was set months ago to make sure that I did it, right? It's not something that I was like, let me do it now. Like I already pre-planned, set it so that I would go. The money's going to that. I also went ahead and future dated appointments for Don and I to get couples massages at one of my favorite spas, the Woodhouse Spa. It was beautiful. And it was just really needed. It was a self-care day.
What kind of massage do you prefer when you're getting one?
To be honest, I really don't like very deep and like rough because my skin bruises pretty easily and I'm a little sensitive. So this was my first one ever getting something like this. It was called Calming Retreat. So it's their cocktail of assortment of different things for you to try. So first it started with dry brushing and you get to keep the brush, and she brushed forward like my whole entire body. And I was kind of like thinking, this is stupid, but
Exfoliation, right?
yeah. And then
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe it's not stupid. Like just
Mhm.
because my skin kind of felt like revitalized, I guess.
Yeah, I
Like
bet.
it was like slowly waking up. I don't know. Sounds weird. But so it was that. It was a scalp massage. And I had to tell her, I was like, girl, I got tracks up here. So just like be careful. I came out and Don was like, "It looks like you just got into a fight." And I was like, "Thanks."
Okay.
He gonna keep it real.
Two parts. One, how dare her for your amazing locks that she just be screwing up. Two, it's a good massage when your hair looks like that. So I understand it's terrible, but damn, I'm jealous.
Right. It was great. I was like, "Oh, this was exactly what I needed." And then it was a pretty soft, not really like a lot of, I guess, depth to the massage. It was just more relaxing. The oils she used were great. It was more for like a relaxing kind of vibe. And then she did reflexology. I don't know if you've ever had that done before, but I had it done on my hands and my feet. And it said that there's like several nerve endings in your feet that when you work on those, it actually helps things with your back because I'm having some issues with my lower back
Mm.
and different things like that. So that's why I just wanted to try that. And then Don got a deep tissue massage because he's like, I need him to get in there. And then he got a facial, a men's towel facial, which I should have read more into that. It was not as good as like what a good real facial would actually be. And
It's
I'm
probably
like, you
just a
know
hot
what?
ass wet towel on your face. Like, come
It
on.
was, and it makes me
No,
mad because I'm like, it's super expensive, so the fact that they don't do more really makes me mad, and I'm like, "You know what? That's the instance for things like that." Like, I do typically like to use small business owners for that. My friend Mo is an esthetician. Her facials are phenomenal, and she puts a lot of care and effort and time and energy into it, and I'm like, "That is worth it." What they
yeah,
do with these, like, mainstream spas, they don't even I feel like they don't barely even try. It's just churn them and burn them. Let's go.
it is. You're right. 100%. But I do want to go back to your dentist thing because I totally understand why you don't go. And I bet you there's another part of that. And maybe it's just the way I handle the dentist, but it terrifies me. And when you go in there, it's
Yeah.
not just that it terrifies you, they make you feel like shit, right? Like, not the doctor. The doctor's got good bedside manner, but you go to the dentist and you're like, ooh, girl, no. What's going on with your teeth? You better be flossing every day. How often do you floss? Do you know that you're losing gum density? Did you know you have to get a crown? Did you know that you need dentures by the time you're 45? None of this happened to me, by the way. But I'm just being a little dramatic for the reasons you go in there feeling like
I
shit.
was thinking, I was like, "Damn, Josh,
Damn, his grill is
you got
fucked
your
up.
girl is fucked up." I was like in my head, I was thinking, I'm like, "Okay, how am I gonna play this off and, like, not be offensive?" But I was like, "Oh, shit, that's a lot." I was like, "You should have been going to the dentist, that was the problem."
No, it's
But
actually funny. I went back in, it was like October, and I hadn't been in 6 years. So I do want to touch on that because I was not taking care of my teeth because of the reasons I just said. But I get there and they're like, wow, you only have one cavity. You haven't been here 6 years? I was like, no. They're like, well, you do a good job on your upkeep. I was like, brush twice a day, floss in between. And he was like,
there you
yeah.
go.
I was like, well, I mean, I guess it's 6 years worth of buildup, but they had to put a little filling in there, and I'm good. I think my anxiety for the dentist is getting better now that I've got my maintenance back up to keep, and they're telling me good things about my mouth, and I don't feel like shit when I walk in there. I feel like $1,000,000. You know what I mean?
That's good. But you know what? That's a real thing. Like your teeth is a very personal thing. So if you're saying I have this and this wrong, it can cause a lot of anxiety. But we talked about this before, how your hair looks, how your clothes look, how you feel, how you wear things, how things fit, right? All of those play into how you show up in the world. And
Mhm.
that's why it's really just so important to take the time to invest in yourself so that you can show up 100%, so that you're able to help someone else come up and really have impact and purpose. I talk a lot about like anything that I do, whatever it is, it has to give some type of purpose or some type of meaning for me to find value in
Yeah.
wanting to do that thing, you know?
Yeah. I agree.
But I digress as per usual. How was your day? What's your update? What do you have for us?
My day was kind of a roller coaster. It started off all right. I got to work and it took me a little bit longer than normal. There was an accident right before I pulled in. I was blocking my only entrance and I work downtown in an area that only has one-way streets pretty much. So having to go like
Oh,
17 different ways was just not a good experience. And then we get to work and everything was great. I got a great team and an amazing company I work for. So I'm really happy. I feel very fortunate to have the things I have in my career. When I go there every day, it doesn't feel like work. And then I get home and I'm playing with the babies and everything's going right.
he means dogs,
That's right. I don't
FYI.
actually have actual kids. I'm too selfish for that on my admission, but I do have a soft spot for two little fur babies. That's right. I have a pug and a cocker spaniel beagle mix. My pug is Loki and the beagle cocker spaniel mix is Brady. and they're great and they're naughty and they're my heart and soul. So that was really it. I mean, it was kind of like just up, down, all around. And, this week I did a couple things that were exciting. So I booked a cruise for my birthday in April. And I've only been on one cruise, and I went to Spain, Italy, and France. I had won a work competition, did this little solo cruise. My ex actually betrayed me and didn't go to the cruise that I had won from work as a competition. Can you believe that? Like, what idiot? Even if we weren't in a good
I would have
place.
went. I would have faked it till I made it. I would have been like, "Hey,
I'm telling you, idiot, idiot, idiot. We weren't, I mean, yes, we weren't getting along, but
we'll figure it out."
yeah, he ditched me. I couldn't get any of my friends or family to go.
Might get along at the Eiffel Tower.
I will tell you, I had some moments though. Like, I got to sit at an espresso shop looking at the Leaning Tower of Pisa while eating a piece of pizza. And it was like something that was on my bucket list. I was like, I need to do all of these things at once. And I started bawling. I was like, this is like something I'll never probably do again. But then I started getting older, right? And then I'm like, oh shit, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I really can do whatever I want because I work hard for my shit. And when it's time to reward myself, I'm starting to have this different outlook on life that, like, I want trips, I want experiences, I want friends involved, I want people in my circle that are going to share joy in those moments with me that I can take until I die. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just so about not doing Christmas gifts anymore. Like, I have everything I need in my life and then some. Like, I don't need this mundane shit anymore. I need real connections and real people and real moments and things that matter and give me depth and experience that make me grow and make me wonder and make me learn. And if it doesn't do that, I feel like I'm not doing something right. So I did the Mexico trip, and then I booked a trip to Ireland for my 5-year anniversary in October. So I'm like on a fucking roll,
I
and
know. You were
I'm
so
living my
excited about
life.
booking that too. Like, that was like, it was like a, yes, like, I booked this. Like, that's awesome. Well, congrats to you. And the
Thank
fact
you.
that you're able to do that and you can enjoy the hard work that you put in. I have never been out the country. So that's something that, I'm really wanting to do and plan on doing. And likely it'll be for our honeymoon. We finally decided, like, we talked a little bit more about it, and I talked to you about it last weekend, but we are gonna do the Airbnb, like, in the woods, and the wedding is gonna be it's gonna be giving, fairy vibes. She's a fairy, and I'm loving that.
Okay.
So, I'm really excited about, like, that, but everybody always laughs at me because I've changed it so many times, so we'll see.
I remember
TBD.
I was at breakfast with your friends that I had just met for the first time right before we were going to the airport, and they were busting your balls about it too. About
'Cause
you're
they
like,
know. 'Cause they know. Well, because one of the venues was gonna be at, her or his aunt's house. She has, like, a barn in this really pretty wooded area. I mean, it's gorgeous, but it was just too big, and it was too much money for kind of decorating it and things like that. So I just was like, "No," and then, we went back to the whole "we're just gonna elope" thing. And to be honest, I don't know, Josh, we still may pop up married. I don't know.
yeah, why not?
Like, I kinda am like, people are like, "Oh, when would you elope?" And I'm like, "I don't know." The point of eloping is, like, I want it to be a random, like, "You know what?" Like, I wanna look over at him and be like, "I love you down. Let's go." Like, that's where I'm at, and that's what it's about. But then it's like I struggle because I'm also like, "Oh, I wanna share in this love with my family, and I want our families to come together, and I want to see him happy and celebrated." And I don't wanna just be the one celebrating him. I want him to feel the celebration from all of his family. I
Mhm.
feel like sometimes, and this is getting into a whole other topic other than what we talked about, so we gotta get to that, but I do feel like sometimes men do not get to feel celebrated for a lot of things, like the wedding and anniversaries and birthdays even, and all these things are, like, really geared towards women, and I think that way sometimes too, and I just am trying to recognize my own conditioning that I don't like anymore or that just doesn't fit. And so I just was wanting that so that he felt celebrated by all the people that love him and
Yeah,
kind of
if that's what he
recognize that.
wants and that's what you want, and
Well,
it
see,
just needs
that's
to
the thing. I
come.
don't know if that's what he wants. He's an introvert, so it might just be what I want for him. And then that's where my overbearing side, you gotta reel me back
You know,
in,
come back together. Yeah,
you know.
that's okay. But you got time. And life is short, so not too much time, you know? We just want to make sure that you're happy and that the day's perfect and there's zero stress and that everything feels right. Because if it doesn't, it's not the right thing to choose.
And when I was like deciding, when I was thinking about doing it at the barn, I was talking to my friend's aunt, and I was telling her, honestly, I really just wanted to feel like we're all just chilling and vibing and like bonfire chill vibes. That's what I wanted for my wedding. And now, like when we were there, we got the firewood and there was that fire pit down there. I was like, oh, this will be perfect. Like, I literally think that I want the fire like to actually be going. So it's a bonfire wedding. Like, I just want to like be comfy with the people that I love and cherish every single moment I possibly can
And
while I
that
can.
and that's all you do because that's all we can do is soak up the moments while we got them. And if not, then you're missing out on something. Everything, really. Yeah,
But we digressed
we did.
a lot.
We did. It felt good,
So
right? It felt good.
it did. It felt good. We had some realization. That always happens where I'm
It
like,
does.
like my perspective changes sometimes in these conversations where I start thinking a different way, or maybe you've kind of said something that was aligned with what I was already thinking. So now it helped me to truly form an opinion because now I had a buy in.
Mhm.
But I love when conversations turn into that. But, I also love when we discuss how basically the difference between boundaries versus avoidance,
Yeah,
right?
let's get in.
And I think we should first kind of really talk about what that means for each other, because I think that perspective is like something that we really need to pay attention to, because depending on your perspective, how you grew up, boundaries mean something different to each person. So, what is a boundary for you versus avoiding something? What does that look like? Because sometimes people will avoid something and they say it's because about it's a boundary. Well, how do you know the difference?
So I am somebody that has zero issues setting a boundary to the point where it's off putting to people. If I don't like something, you're going to know it. If there's something I don't feel right about, you're going to know it. If you don't feel something about me, I want to know it. Just as much as I can give it, I can take it. So I want that same reciprocal energy because I appreciate honest feedback. I appreciate accountability. And I'm the first one that's ready to go. I fucked up. I'm not right. I could have done that differently. You know what? Let me think about that because I didn't think that was my best. I'm okay with those moments because you know what? If I don't say these things, it's not like I'm losing something. It's not like I'm not winning a competition. I'm just being me and I'm being a better version if I'm able to say these things out loud and I'm able to put action behind what I'm saying out loud. So
Yeah.
when it comes to boundaries versus avoidance, I set those boundaries firm as fuck. Avoidance, though, becomes what happens next when that boundary is crossed. If my firmness is put down and you decide, you know what, I'm going to test that boundary. I'm going to go ahead and do exactly that thing that you just told me is not going to be something you accept or tolerate. And I want to see if you are going to own up to your word. That's basically what people are telling you without actually telling you when they decide to continue this behavior, in my opinion.
But see, here's the thing. So, something that you said, right, was like once someone crosses that line of your boundary, that's when it moves into avoidance. But for me, that's not avoidance. That's you standing 10 toes down on your boundary. So, that's still a boundary. So, I agree with you with what you're saying for boundaries. I differ, or I have a different perspective when it comes to avoidance. So, like for me, I know I come off as very opinionated and I share my opinions. However, it really depends, I mean, it depends on my mood. I am bipolar and I got, different situations and different things going on. But outside of that, I tend to shy away from difficult conversations with people that I care about losing and people that I think can't handle what I have to say, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like, I care about losing them. And so those are the people that I will have difficult conversations with because I don't want to lose them. And I don't want to continue to stay if it's not right. So I'll communicate with you, right? But if I fear that, or if I know sometimes that I'm not going to lose you,
Mhm.
I tend to maybe not share that as much or share too much. You know what I mean?
Would you say that you have ever had a moment where you've had to realize something that you initially called a boundary, but really was like a fear instead?
I think what I notice with me when it comes to boundaries is that I really am not good at keeping them.
Mm.
Like I'll forget what the boundary is because the boundary that I set, it was just placed on the mood that I was in at the time. And so I think that's okay.
That's gotta be
But
confusing for
it's
the person
confusing for
receiving
the
that.
other, exactly, it's confusing for the other person, and so I recognize that that's probably not like, I'd have to fix that. So, like, when you said this topic, I was kinda like, "Mm," and we started going through some questions and stuff, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna have to like, Imma have to eat this because I
Eat it, baby.
because I'm really not the best at boundaries. I'll set a boundary, I'll forget that I set it, and then I'll be like, "Okay, one day." Like I had this rule, I didn't want anybody in my room when I came home from work. Like no kids. Don could be in there, but I'd prefer not. Like I need to come in, change, decompress, do my little thing, right? But that was when I was going through a hard time and I was in a really bad mood. Work was stressful. I had just moved. I just, well then I would come home and be like, "Come upstairs with me. Like, I'm about to, we'll change and we'll hop in the bed and watch a movie." What the fuck? Confusing as hell,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Because one minute you want this and the next minute you want this. And that's where I was like, okay, I got to check myself. So when I think about avoidance, I think about me avoiding having that conversation. Like, I peeped that my inconsistency caused you confusion, which is now causing a disagreement in the future.
Yeah.
I'll avoid having that conversation because I don't wanna be wrong.
But see, that's where I have a question though. Like, what are you losing by being wrong?
Bragging rights. What do you mean, what am I lose? Everything. My dignity, my soul, my hair might fall out. I don't know. I might melt. Hello, I'm a Capricorn, okay? Through and through. We are right all the time. God
Hey,
damn it.
look, as an Aries, I totally understand the fiery nature of that part because I also have this tongue that doesn't stop flapping and the mouth that doesn't shut up when it comes to how I feel. It just fucking happens.
Oh,
And
I
that's
know.
part of my problem.
Right? At least see, here's the thing. We talked about this before. I'm so tired of knowing what my problem is and not fixing it. Right? Like I just, okay, this is the problem. All right, let's fix it. I always say to my team, like focus 5% on the problem and the other 95% on the solution. Cause I can't change the problem. It happened. I can't change it, but I can change the future. I can change the outcome. So that's where I want to put my focus. So really, I've been really focusing on that. But like I keep backsliding and I'm just like, okay, I really got to figure out like what are my boundaries and why? Are my boundaries superficial? Are my boundaries fair? And sometimes I have to kind of realize like that doesn't fucking matter. If it's my boundary, it's my boundary. It doesn't matter if it's fair. It doesn't matter if it's petty. Like if it's petty, let it be fucking petty. And that's where I have to kind of really lean into that. And maybe have some tougher conversations. And I had a conversation with my friend and she let me know like I had been friends with someone for well past the expiration date. You know this story. We had a little blow up in Florida
Yes.
and we haven't been friends. I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss the friendship. I miss the good parts. I miss the comfort, but I don't miss the pressure I felt from the disappointment that I carried, that I allowed myself to not stick to not one boundary I set for myself in that friendship.
A friend breakup, I also call it a friend divorce, is also just as hard, in my opinion, as a divorce in a real marriage because you choose to invest this energy and trust into this relationship with this human that you're not having sex with, that there's only platonic conversations and feelings and activities with, whether that's any gender, doesn't matter who you are. But then you equally, in this situation for you, if I can speak for you, is that you both kind of mutually decided this was something you both needed to really take time and part from and really take some space. And maybe one day the universe wants you back together when she hopefully grows and or maybe not, and if not, that's fine because your paths aren't meant to cross again. But it's good that your boundary was firm enough to recognize that the behavior that was being thrown your way was not something you should accept anymore.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And the only thing with me is that, it does take me so long to set that boundary. Like that's how I end up in situations where, I was talking to Don today about like different traumas and he mentioned that like one of my traumas is being taken advantage of. And that ties into my lack of boundary setting. It was very easy for people to take advantage of me. Like, in college, my apartment was where people stayed and didn't pay rent, where
Mm,
people partied and whatever friends they brought over stole money from me.
I
Like,
know
this
that.
is a real story. These are real things that have happened to me. An ex lived with me and my sister, paid zero rent, and would claim he could never do anything special for me whatsoever. And I used to find like expensive gaming equipment and that he was hiding in the closet of the home I was paying for.
Disgusting.
And so like that just goes to show that I'm not great at setting boundaries. So I've learned a lot and I've grown a lot and I'm firm in like my boundaries, but the thing is that I'm firm with my boundaries one day and then the next day I'm loosey goosey. So I can understand how someone would be like, well, I'm not really sure which way you want me to go. And to be honest, I think I really just came to that realization like in this conversation. As you were talking about it and asking the questions, I was really like, ooh, ooh, right.
Dodging
This
and
is
weaving.
this is me. Like this, I'm not good at it. I will avoid it. And what that will look like will be like, well, I won't have the conversation. And then I expect someone to read my mind and then I blow up. And it's World War III and everything that I think in my mind, I genuinely believe is reality because I'm constantly overthinking and thinking about ways that people are going to backstab me or like fuck me over. Like, I genuinely just think that like most people suck and given the opportunity, they're going to screw me over. And I'm a strategic person. So I'm thinking ahead of time, like, how can I make sure to protect myself?
Yeah.
And when I'm in settings where I'm like, oh, I don't know how to protect myself or I'm not sure how to navigate, I think that's why boundaries are like, up and down.
See, the issue with me with avoidance, because I touched on the boundary part and I just kind of talked about the avoidance, but the avoidance for me is the most detrimental because once I get to the avoidance, it's over. And it's really hard for me to earn that trust back and to be able to look at you in a different light and to be able to talk myself through why you are now deserving of me forgiving you, what that will bring to my life, what value that's going to add to my space that's going to make me feel safe because it's no longer about just needing people in my life like we were when we were younger to feel like we're part of a community. For me, I'm no longer in that place. I don't need to be around a bunch of people to feel whole. I had the most amazing time when we were on vacation. And I know that episode 3 talked about that a lot. And I go back to that because I don't travel with people well. And I shared this with you on vacation. You and I had some good quality time one on one. Our husbands were sleeping. So we just sat down and had good talks. And one thing I shared with you is I have a huge family and it's blended. I have 2 real biological siblings, and then I have the rest of them all step or adopted. And we had a total of 9 people in our family together. So traveling was always a fuck show. I mean, there was fighting, there was people missing deadlines, there was messiness everywhere. 1,800 water bottles that had no names on them, half drank everywhere. As an OCD person, let me tell you, that shit will drive you up the fucking wall.
Yes, it
So
sounds insane.
it's insane, but also being around that environment is insane. When you're supposed to go on vacation, it's like more issues than it is relaxing. So I always go into fear when I go around a lot of people. And a lot of people for me is like more than 4 at one room. But I never once felt like we had drama. There was no issues. There was no one in each other's space. There was no pressure to like do anything. We drank a lot. We laughed a lot. I kicked your ass in foosball, but we'll talk about that later.
Well, you cheated, so he used his witchy powers, and I haven't gotten that far yet. So
It's fine. Ascensions with foosball, so it's
clearly,
okay. It's okay. But we, back to the point of just like, traveling with friends really brings out a lot, either the good, the bad, the ugly. We had a great time. So I really learned through just even that experience that I don't need a lot of people. I don't even need a group of people to travel with. I don't need a group of people at my house. A party's cool. It brings me more shit than it does peace. I just need my close people that know me, that trust me, that want to laugh with me, that want to chill, that want to watch a movie. I don't care what it is. Let's just be around each other and have a good time. If that's 3 people, if that's 5 people, if it's 10 people, but you need to be a good fucking person and your vibe needs to be on point or else it's not for me.
right. I completely agree. I definitely am the type of person, and you know this because you've been to my parties and my little get-togethers. You know, I love to entertain. I love to have all my people in one place because that's when I feel the most comfortable and confident. Because sometimes I have a lot of people that I care for and that care for me, and they're all over the place in different states. And so sometimes I feel pulled in so many different directions. So when I can get everyone together in one space, my heart feels full because I don't feel like I'm competing at this point. Everyone's here
Yeah.
and I get to make little connections and little memories with everyone. So as long as it's for a couple hours, that's totally fine. But I've never done a big trip before. And this was my first couples trip. And then the last time I went to the mountains, it was with my sister and then my friend Quentin. And that was three. So it was perfect. But with a big group, you know, funny enough, my friend, I had just met her last year when I moved here. She invited Don and I to a mountain house for her birthday. And I'm like, you know me, yeah, sure. Like, I'm
Yeah.
very much like, oh, sure, let's go. I'll say yes. And then I'll be like, wait, let me look at my calendar. Let me talk to my man. I can't just be willy-nilly like, yeah, sure, we're gonna go. And I gotta check and see if he wants to go. I just can't be thinking he don't want to go, especially, Tom's an introvert. Like
Yeah.
I
Warm
gotta
them up
work.
before we get it.
I gotta
Yeah.
warm him up first.
Right.
So I'm like, what am I thinking?
Right. Sure.
And so I talked to him and I'm like, hey, and Zon's like, who all gonna be there? I tell him, I'm like, well, I don't know. And he's like, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, I don't know any of these people. He's like, what? You wanna go to a mountains of people you don't know? You don't know any of them? And he's like, Zon's like, that's dangerous. And I'm like, la 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 la.
Sounds
Like
like the Glamo.
you should see us walking in the street. Zon's all like, eye on here, looking all around and shit. He done seen somebody on the corner 3, 4 blocks ahead. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't even look over there. And it's
Sounds
me.
like the game of Clue.
He's like, what do you hear? Birds chirping in your head when you walking in the street? Then he like, you walking into people. He's like, you don't even look. Like it drives him absolutely crazy. But I kind of like it. I want to turn my brain off. Just let me make sure no cars hit me. Just let me roam when I'm with him. Now, when I'm by myself, completely different. I'm on, but I like to just be able to take a little bit of a break sometimes from
Yeah.
like here. So, but I digress again.
Yeah. Totally.
But the trip was good, and I don't think that I want to do big groups. It ended up being that the trip was like she gonna kill me when she hears this, but the trip was just like a shit show. Like a bunch of stuff happened, and it was funny. Honestly, I wish I was there because I was like, oh, that seems like kind of like a movie, and you know how I am. Like I
Yeah,
like when
we
stuff
love
is
a
like
good movie.
movies. I love a good movie. I love a little drama. I was like, oh, okay, especially if it ain't my drama for it. But Don, he don't want me to have no fun. He don't want to be. Don is not about the drama, and he's not about wanting to deal with that. And if that would have happened, he would have been like, "See, I told you that's why we shouldn't came." And when I told him what happened, he was like, "I told you that's why we shouldn't have went. I'm glad we didn't go." And I'm like, "I'm not. We missed a show."
You did. You missed a good theatrical performance.
But, I guess if I don't know the people and what if it could go south, I get his logic, right?
Yeah.
But I'd really just like to ride my little feelings wave. You know what I'm saying? Like, why logic got to come in here and mess stuff up?
Smack you in the face.
Right? Ain't enough stuff logical. I just want to like feel my feelings and act on them all the time. That would
All the
probably be
time.
bad, actually.
Oh,
That would,
God.
but like, wouldn't that be cool though? All right, now we're really like getting off. For real. If you could feel your feelings all the time and just do what you feel, whatever, all the time, what are you doing? What does a day look like with no filter?
Oh,
Do
I'm cussing everyone
whatever.
out.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone's getting
what's
cussed out. Everyone's getting cussed out. Everyone's getting the fuck out of my way because I walk really fast and I drive really fast. And I want to tell everyone off that pisses me off. That's an uninhibited Josh. That's that version of me.
Yeah.
However, nobody wants to see that because also something I haven't mentioned until now, and I see you comfortable enough to share it. So I think I'm getting to a place of acceptance versus avoidance since we're talking about boundaries versus avoidance. 2 months ago, I was also diagnosed with being bipolar. So not a lot of people know that, but I've now come to the acceptance phase of, oh my God, this has just been me the whole time. Nothing's changed. I've always been this person. I now have a plan forward versus wondering why I act the way I act sometimes and why my moods change very drastically and why I'm able to go from screaming and crying and yelling and throwing things to happy and moving on and not even a care in the world and wondering why you're still mad about it because I've already been figured it out and moved on.
Right. And I'd be looking at people like, why are you still mad? And then I'd be like, yo, you the problem. You the one still angry. And then I'd be like, later, I'm like, oh, well, that was the episode. I'm the problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So when I'm going through therapy and I'm having these discussions, and my therapist says, I think you're probably dealing with PTSD from your past relationship of 10 years, which I'm sure we'll dive into in another episode and another topic that makes more aligned sense. I did throw a little pun there. You hear that
I
align?
see what you did there.
But I do want to just, say thanks for being vulnerable, Tiffany, and sharing that because it's allowing me to be in a space where I'm no longer avoiding talking about my mental health and the things that come along with it, whether it's the treatments, whether it's the pushback, whether it's the misunderstanding and the judgment you get from your friends, family, and people that don't know you. But I'm good, like I went through a little bit of probably, like a month where I just was really upset. I did a ton of research and I was then diagnosed with the conditions and then they offered me some medicine options and I took them and I've noticed that I've just really leveled out and I feel real calm. And yeah, of course I'm human and I get angry still. That's not what the medicine's about, but I just notice that I am in a place where I'm more controlled in my emotions and my feelings and I just now kind of have like a light bulb like went, oh my god, if I would have only just been trying to diagnose this sooner versus just ignoring it and just letting it roll off my back and ruining these relationships with people because I'm unhinged when it came to my ability to tell you off and not even feel bad about it. I could cut you in a second with my words and not even think twice about it. But it was just because I didn't know anything else. I didn't know there was another way. Being in a huge family with a lot of animosity, with having parents that divorced at a very young age, and then having that huge blended family all out of nowhere. It was like my mom moved out of the home and then my other family moved in within like 2 months. It was very quick.
Mm,
So there was
okay.
just like a lot of chaos that I was very accustomed to. And I think somewhere along the way that changed me as a person, mixed with the PTSD from my ex relationship. And now I'm in a place of healing.
Right.
So I was really excited for this podcast, for the ability to talk about these things and to be vulnerable and to learn from each other and for other people out there listening and watching us that might actually be able to relate to these things that are real shit that we deal with every day. And if we're dealing with it, you guys are dealing with it out there listening and watching. So, I want to wrap it up for the end of the episode and just want everyone to start thinking about a few things. Do you place a boundary when things don't feel good and they feel not safe? Or do you run? And which one's the right way? Is there a middle ground? Is there something you can do differently to make you feel safe? And if not, stand 10 toes down on the ground and be firm in your affirmations and don't back away from them. Don't move. And if you are, ask yourself why. If you can't answer that, dig deeper until you find the why. Tiffany, do you have any thoughts for the end?
Yeah. Something else that I want to add is also to, I feel like a lot of people think that they have boundaries and they think that they set good and clear boundaries, but that boundary changes. Like I said, mine does, right? So be accountable for your actions and, you can't expect someone to accept and follow and respect your boundaries if you don't respect them. So set the right boundary and when you need to adjust and when you need to change, don't just do it, right? Talk to the person you set that boundary with and admit that you made a mistake. Admit that this is no longer a boundary that you need to keep. That is how we save and cultivate relationships that matter. And that is how you show people that they matter. Do not avoid the tough conversation. Do not avoid the apology because of your ego. And I'm going to end it on that note.
Perfectly said. Thank you very much. Now, Tiffany, listeners, all you watchers out there, episode 5. Next week, we're going to be bringing you Loyalty Isn't Blind. We're going to be exploring public alignment versus moral courage in friendships. So can't wait to unpack that one. That's going to be a good one. Stay tuned next week. Thanks for spending your time with us.
Good night, guys.
Good night.